So now I want to move on to now this topic right now. I want to talk about the reason why want to talk about Red One right now is because Dwayne Johnson was the one who tried to bring our Superman back. I know people may not agree with all the artistic choices made with the stream, but he tried to bring our Superman back. And
Yep.
he had a really, and I thought, in my opinion, and by the way, guys, this is spoiler free, so don't worry if you have not seen the movie, you don't need to go anywhere. I mean, not too much to spoil in this movie, honestly, but I wanted to kind of do something for Dwayne Johnson because I honestly I thought this was a decent movie. And it's a Christmas movie too. So basically the plot of this movie is Dwayne Johnson, head of Santa's security detail, and bounty hunter Chris Evans team up to save Santa Claus, played by J.K. Simmons.
Jim Gordon.
And what up, Integrity? And it didn't do that well in the box office, but it seems to be doing really well on streaming right now. And I think it's really great that it is. I guess, Josh, what are your overall thoughts on this movie?
Shout out to you, Bat Dan. Sorry, I've been MIA. Having a lot of stuff going on, and thanks to everyone in the chat who showed up early. Yeah, I got to see this a while back, and you did as well, and in theaters, right? So we got to see the theatrical version of it. Or did you watch it on Prime?
I did both. I watched it in theaters, and I've rewatched it just 2 days ago on Prime.
Awesome. So I got to see it in IMAX, Bat Dan, and this movie is really good. And actually, I will say my critique, I don't know how you felt about it, but my only critique, honestly, is do you have to go to a theater to see it? No, it's a streaming movie. It really is, in my personal opinion. But it's a great streaming movie at the same time. And The Rock has posted as of today that it has broken the Amazon Prime weekend records as the most ever views, 50 million global views for the first weekend for an Amazon MGM studio movie. So Black Adam's win.
Let's pull that up actually in a bigger format. So this was the post you were showing, right?
Yep. He just posted that today on Henry Cavill Superman Trending Day, interestingly enough.
Yeah.
So Black Adam's winning is what all I got to say.
Exactly. And it's just, one thing I really love about this movie was J.K. Simmons as Santa. It's, because he's our Commissioner Gordon and he's also our J. Jonah Jameson. And
Yep.
it's really funny because like the way Jameson is, you wouldn't picture him being a warm Santa, but it's really no, he really is. And
Yes.
you can tell that this Santa cares about the kids, and it's a very different take. He's not the fat Santa, he's the actual big buff Santa.
Oh, that's my favorite scene. No spoilers, Bat Dan, but when The Rock and Santa Claus are together in the gym in the North Pole, that's my favorite scene.
Yeah, that's a minor spoiler. Basically, I mean, they train like Santa works out, so
yes he
that's
does. Jack Gordon.
And what I really love too, and this is like a small little detail, but I love Mrs. Claus in this movie too, is that she's not just the relationship reminded me of a lot? It reminded me of Zack Snyder and Deborah Snyder in a way.
Okay.
Because you can see that Mrs. Claus in this movie, she's actually like Santa cannot do this operation without her. She runs a lot of the operation. She runs simulations. She coordinates stuff. She helps him work out even at one point, and it shows that she's a vital part of this. And she's not like in this movie a lot, but it's a small little thing I love about about not just women actually being like more than just a love interest, more than just Santa's wife. She's actually an interesting character all on her own.
Yeah, and I think the actress is Bonnie Hunt. I think that's her name. You've seen her before, a lot of movies, a lot of TV shows, and she did great. And I like how, no spoilers once again, but she's used in the plot, her character throughout it. So I liked how she was integrated, and you kind of see the dynamic of Santa's operation as a family, right? Because in the North Pole, it's like a whole operation, and it's very, like you said, it's maintained by Santa. It's done by Santa, but it's maintained by Mrs. Claus, a lot like Zach and Debbie's relationship. So good job, Bat Dan. I did not make that connection until you said that.
Thank
Props
you.
to you.
And I guess, and we also Dwayne Johnson. He is phenomenal in this movie. He's head of Santa security detail, and he can. There's certain scenes where he takes his job very seriously, but he also loves the kids, and that's what I really love. Is they really balance it out really well. Is that I mean, there'll be some minor spoiler, but basically, kids line up to see Santa. Dwayne Johnson inspects the cookies, and then right afterwards, he's dedicated for those kids to see Santa. He's like, "You got a very important appointment with Santa." Fist bumping them, and it shows how much he cares about the kids, how much he loves his job, and some struggles with his job. We'll say that, but he can tell he cares about the clients, aka the kids, and I really love that. I guess, Josh, what are your thoughts on Dwayne Johnson in this movie?
Yes. Dwayne, I mean, I don't know. I think shout out to the cool table. Shout out to Leon and Sky. I think there was a stream recently where Leon mentioned that we need to do a stream about, in my opinion, all this manufactured rock hate. Like, is he a little bit overexposed? Yes, I do think so. And that's with any actor, right? Like John Cena had that happen too. Like you just do so much, and The Rock is one of the biggest movie stars, in the world. And does he do the same shtick? Yes, but it works. And in this movie, his character, it just kind of makes sense in my personal opinion. The movie is directed by Jake Kasdan. I don't know if you know the connection, Bat Dan, but shout out to Space Tastic Discussions because Jake Kasdan is the son of the man who directed, I believe it was Empire Strikes Back.
Really?
Lawrence, or the writer. I'm sorry, the co-writer of Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi, Force Awakens, Solo. We don't want to mention that, and Raiders of the Lost Ark, The Bodyguard, Body Heat. Yeah. So Jake Kasdan, son of Lawrence Kasdan, Star Wars. There's a lot of, if you think about it, Bat Dan, Star Wars and Marvel esque MCU, you like movies. It's a combination of those two, Star Wars and MCU, in my opinion, mixed with Santa Claus Christmas flavor. So that might not work for everybody, but I think for the majority of audiences who are familiar with those callbacks to like Ant-Man, no spoilers, but you'll get it once you see the movie. You'll understand what I'm talking about. Star Wars, space travel, essentially. Then it's all kind of makes sense who the son is related to in the hierarchy of movie cinema.
Hierarchy. I see what you did there.
Mhm.
And Chris Evans also did a good job too. It's funny because we're so used to him as Captain America, this goody two shoes character, and here he is. He plays a bounty hunter. He plays kind of basically the not most responsible. He's not a responsible person. He's a bit of a deadbeat dad. We'll say that, and it's just such a good job. And his character development in this movie is also. Oh, look what you did! Look what you did, Josh.
Hey, if it gets you to check it out, sucks. I will say that my friend who got me in, that's exactly what she said. She's like, yeah, I can totally see. Once I explained that to her, she's like, oh, duh, it makes sense that it felt like Marvel or a Star Wars movie. I was like, yeah, there's familiar beats in the kind of tone, with the Christmas cheer. So what better thing to watch during the holiday season?
And yes, I would say he's an anti-hero. I guess, Josh, what are your thoughts on Chris Evans' character in this movie?
I mean, he plays basically the Scrooge, right? The Scrooge character, if you think about it. I was a little like with his character, I didn't know how they were going to go. I will be honest, that's probably just out of the two characters, like they're both, great overall. I didn't buy at times that he was the father to the son in the movie at times, but by the end of it, I got it. I was kind of like, okay, but there were certain scenes where I was like, you do kind of seem like you're not really, you're acting, right? But that's just chemistry with a child too. So, I guess it can be a little awkward. At the same time, his story arc makes sense, right? Once you see there's like a prologue of him at young, and then you see him, his introduction had me dying. Like his little bit when he's strolling through the what and just like doing all his shtick. I was just like, I love Chris Evans. I do love Chris Evans. I loved Chris Evans before he was Captain America, as most people know him. I loved him in what's that? The Losers, that DC Comics movie with Jeffrey Dean Morgan. Amazing cast in general. And Push, I liked him in Push. So his character here, he's not the typical, he's not Captain America at all, right? But it kind of makes the dynamic with The Rock more enjoyable that he's playing a different douchey character, in my opinion.
I completely agree. And before we wrap this review up, I think her name's Lucy Liu, the director person.
Yes.
I thought she was another great character.
Angels. Yes, she's a badass, right? She's like, it's actually a good cast, and it's an ensemble, and I thought they did a really good job, even though it's, in my opinion, a streaming movie. It looked great on the big screen in IMAX. I'm not gonna lie, like some of the action scenes and the CGI. Garcia, the polar bear, looked amazing. So he's one of my favorite characters. I just wanted more of him. More Garcia. Hashtag.
Yeah, funny. His name's Garcia.
Hiram Garcia.
And just so you know, DC Talk, go ahead and ask your question, but we have to wrap this review up soon because we have a lot to talk about today. So, but still, I think it's I think the visuals are great. The comedy's great. Is it this like some phenomenal, groundbreaking masterpiece? No, it's a fun action movie that's very entertaining and did exactly what it was supposed to do. No more, no less. So I highly recommend to see this movie. Support Dwayne Johnson. Support the guy who tried to bring our Superman back and did bring him back for a little bit. So absolutely, this channel will support Dwayne Johnson. And Josh, what would you rate this movie as?
This movie, honestly, like, I enjoyed it. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't like hate it. And I think it's perfect for the holiday season. So I'll judge it as a Christmas movie just because it's unavoidable right now. I'd say it's like for me personally, it was like an 8. It was enjoyable. I loved seeing him and Chris Evans together on screen. It was Black Adam and Captain America, but different personalities, of course, with J.K. Simmons, a.k.a. Commissioner Gordon, a.k.a. J. Jonah Jameson. So yeah, an 8 for me. What about you?
I would say an 8.5923468592 out of 10. Phenomenal movie, great movie, did exactly what it's supposed to do, and absolutely support Dwayne Johnson.